gurus. We have tried to understand what are the different ancient methods that were undertaken by the ancient gurus, how they propagated their teaching to their disciples or to their students in the Gurukul system of teaching. Now, moving forward, what do we learn from the behavior of the ancient gurus? Now, every human being, if you see, when we are born in this planet Earth, with either with subconscious or with unconscious and with conscious mind. And when this unconscious mind actually starts becoming more and more active, at that point, basically, learning begins, or learning starts at that juncture. So, the presence of a guru is essential for any learning to take place, to happen for our betterment, to bring improvement in our behavior. Now, that this guru's presence continues throughout the life because the learning continues throughout the life. Learning never stops. And whatever you learn in any age or stage of your life, it actually helps you. So, what are the benefits basically of having a guru in life? That's the question that all of us needs to ask ourselves. When we consciously acknowledge the presence of guru, that is the only time we realize and we actually learn more. We are making an effort to learn more. Our inquisitiveness actually increases. Now, you also might have experienced, and all of us have experienced as teachers, as human beings, that in life we sometimes feel stuck up at a place. And at that time, the Guru's presence moves us through. His presence becomes very important. He takes that, he holds our hand, and he helps us in crossing that obstacle, that hurdle, so that we don't get stuck further. Now, events, you can say, situations, you can say, concepts can all make us feel stuck somewhere or the other in any stage of our life. Now, firstly, what we can do, we don't even know when one is stuck unless and until we are unable to move forward because we invite troubles. We don't realize when we are inviting troubles. So Guru's presence makes us realize that we are stuck. He makes us realize this, the Guru makes us realize this, and he helps us to move further. Knowledge, movement, achievement, and freedom. These are the four aspects that one gain by having a guru. First is knowledge. First step of learning is knowledge. Now, of all the different types of knowledge that we learn, from whomsoever we may learn, whosoever it may be, who is part of the guru, anybody from whom we are learning, he becomes a part of that guru. Mother, as sir was saying, mother is the first guru. From the mother we learn the first level of learning, whether it is alphabets or this is a cat, this is a banana, that is a house. So this all applies to the various other disciplines that we learn. Moving from where we are stuck or to have, you can say, a flow in the life towards the ultimate goal, towards our objective of our life, is the benefit of having a guru in our life. That is the second. Now, moving from where we have stuck. What can be the third? That's the movement. Knowledge. Then we are moving from where we are stuck towards the goal, towards our target. That is the movement. And who is helping us in that movement? The guru. That is the second stage, or the second importance, or the second important element for having guru in our life. The third benefit, what you can say, for having a guru is when we desire for something. In order to need that guidance, in order to need or fulfill, you can say, that desire, what we need from Guru is guidance. We need someone to give us, to tell us what we want, to make us realize, to make us feel what is there. But there is no end to desires. We know that. If one gets fulfilled, we crave for the other. And sometimes we are not even sure what is our actual desire. What do we want actually? What is our desire? What are we looking for? And that is where, again, the role of the Guru comes into play. He plays a very important role to make us understand. The Guru principle or the Guru Tattva, you can say, will give us, will make us what is good for us and what is that is not everything we want. That not everything that you want will be you can achieve it. So that means knowledge, movement. Third was the achievement. The fourth benefit for having Guru in our life is freedom. Now, when we are talking about freedom, we are talking about liberation. We are discussing about inner liberation. The Guru does not let us remain in an illusionary world, but he helps us to wake up, to rise, to look at what is the ultimate reality of the universe. That is known as freedom of liberation. The Guru actually tells us that this is all imitation. This is all drama that is taking place, and you are simply an actor doing your role in this world. Everything else is just an illusion. So self-effort is only in the conscious mind. We have to make that self-effort. And where does it happen? It happens in our mind. For the subconscious mind, we cannot put an effort. We are born with either conscious, subconscious, and an unconscious mind. The subconscious mind, we cannot put in that effort. So we need someone else or somebody higher power to influence and to make us understand. So in fact, what happens in that case, to turn the unconscious mind into the superconscious mind, one definitely needs that help. And therefore, you can say that nature has provided us with the tradition of masters. The next few discussion what we will be having, how nature has helped us to travel the journey of our life, to make it more effective, to make our life more meaningful. So time and again, the human society has been guided by holding hands towards oneself, you can say, and towards the light that is in fact which is shown by our Guru. So what we can say is that moon is associated with the mind. We say moon is associated with the mind. And someone who grows crazy, we say lunatic. Because moon has been associated with mind, and somebody we find going very crazy, we call him a lunatic person. So moon is associated with feelings, with emotions, with craziness, whereas Guru is associated with wisdom, knowledge, and rational thinking. Guru stands for rationality or wisdom, we can say, because those are the basic attributes of Guru. And Moon stands for emotions. So where Guru stands for wisdom, rational behavior, rational thinking, Moon stands for emotions. And this combination is oxymoron, fulfillness of the emptiness or the emptiness of the fullness. These are the two sides. So life, when we think, it has got both, it has got place. Our life has got place for both, and Guru does that, does both, basically, for fullness and for emptiness. Guru brings fullness in emotions and strength or strengths, you can say, not and strength, or strengths in the emotions, and and it tries to bring in that sharpness in the intellect. So everyone is a student. We should, each one of us basically, we are all student, and everyone also is a teacher as well. We can say that. But what happens by default, if you have experienced also, we are teaching things all we or we do not want to or not, you can say. Whether we acknowledge or we do not acknowledge. It is either by showing people what you should do or by showing them what we should not do. Sometimes someone learns from us. Sometimes, even though we are not making a deliberate attempt basically to teach, but from just what you can say, from just the way we walk our life, someone can learn from us. And how we can help somebody learn, this we will be trying to understand in the next, what you call, in the next few slides. So from what we can say, that from darkness, from darkness to light, from the seen world, you can say, from the seen world around, whatever we are seeing around us, to the unseen world within us. Because unseen, we are not able to see ourselves within. We are not making an effort to see ourselves within. From the conscious mind to the super conscious, what you call, comes, we have a guru, and guru's energy or grace. So everyone is playing the role of a guru, maybe in a small or in a very big way, you can say, or in some field or the other. But when it comes in totality or the ultimate, when that is the point, we say Jai Gurudev. So what are this concept of gurus has always been, you can say, the integral part of the Eastern, you can say, Eastern spirituality. Now, when we are talking about Eastern spirituality, it means this Guru Parampara or the lineage of the masters. They exist in the Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism. However, that means in the Eastern, this one part of the world, we have seen this Guru Parampara, the Guru system of lineage. But this can also be, you can say, applied on a wide scale, used in other religions also, ranging from the institution of Pope to Sufi and to what you call the South Zoo masters also. But the big question is, who is our Guru? Are we able to identify? Have we identified him? Because these days it has become more a fashion or a fad to identify everybody or to say or recognize everybody by saying he's my Maulana Rumi, the evergreen poet. He said, I'll just quote one of his, what did he say? That what you seek is seeking you. Lao Tzu has similarly uttered a similar quote also. He uttered the lines that when the student is ready for the teacher will appear. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. But when the student is truly ready, the teacher will disappear. Search of the Guru. So the search of the Guru is is it an external activity? That's a question that needs to be answered, that needs to be discussed. And when we can say, and will this search always lead to a physical Guru, a person? That is what again is the second question that we need to answer, that we need to question ourselves. Or is it the search more inwards, more towards within ourselves, for the Guru who is actually present inside? Now, human beings, if you have seen, they're known to be usually concerned with external things. We are more eager to know what is actually happening outside us. Things which are very tangible in the spirit. Serve. Many of us actually, if you see, many lack the understanding of that a guru can be like road signs also, turn left, turn right, or a steep path, it's a dead end, to guide a person, to guide a person on his inner journey. Prophets and saints across religions, they have tried their best to give the message of love and peace across all the religions. But so people can use those as guiding signs in our walk of our journey. But now let us ask the question: do we understand what they want to convey the journey so that we can complete the journey and attain the goal, the journey towards our soul? While these enlightened souls, the prophets or the saints, they were actual people who have been guiding us. It's important actually to understand that even universe, the universe, they also act as guide towards our inner journey. And that is what we will try to understand or try to reflect in the next 24 slides, if only we know how we try to understand it. The first one, Prithvi, Earth. As human beings, we plow the earth, we dig it, we tread on the earth, we light fires on it. Still, what do we see? The earth does not swerve from its what you call course, even it is facing such difficulty, even it is finding it very difficult to breathe. On the other hand, we torture it. We torture our Mother Earth. On the other hand, Prithvi feeds us, provides us shelter for all types of creatures. As teachers, let us try to connect it. As teachers with Mother Earth, how can we relate our characteristics, our attributes as teachers with Mother Earth? As teachers, we should learn that the why never swerve, never complain from its vow of patience. We should never lose our patience, love, and righteousness. You can say patience, love, and righteousness. Under any circumstances, however we might get frustrated or irritated by the behavior of our students. And we should dedicate our life for the welfare of the students as Mother Earth does it for the welfare of living beings. Is considered as the first. The earth means the mountains, also inclusive of mountains, and rivers are considered as the first guru in the life of a human being. It teaches us the course of dharma, tolerance, and the act of performing our duty on and on without stopping. Being patient, inculcating the quality of forgiveness. We should, like the mountains and the rivers, we should dedicate ourselves to the welfare of the living beings. Vayu, wind. All of us have observed that wind is pure. Well, I just want to say that while I was making this and I was sharing this slide with my guru, he said you cannot actually catch or hold Vayu And how come you have written on the slide Vayu? I couldn't answer anything because I said I was preparing for a presentation to write it. So pure, very pure. And it blows on both sweet and foul smelling things also, you have observed, without any discrimination. Doesn't say that I will not blow if there is a foul smelling, stinking thing kept over. No, it does its job. It does its job without any discrimination, without showing any preference. Though momentarily it seems to take on the smell of its surroundings, but in a short while it reveals that its pristine quality. That means what? That the spiritual, we should learn that spiritual aspirant in the in order to live in this world. We should be unaffected by the duality of life, like joy and sorrow, and by the objects of the sense. It should not affect us, basically. So, wind becomes our second guru. This air, the Vayu, wind, whatever you would like to call it, it teaches us the value of being free from all contamination and clean. Akash, sky. The soul is like sky. It is omnipresent. All of us have noticed that sometimes the sky gets thickly overcast, or it is filled with dust or smoke at sunrise or during night. Apparently, you can say it takes different colors. Very beautiful. If all of us might have observed, having reached this stage of our life. But in fact, it never retains its colorless self. It is never touched or stained by anything, dust, smoke, whatever it is. It is never retained. It is not affected. So what can we learn from this? That a true teacher or a true sage, you can say, should remain pure. Pure like the sky, untouched, unaffected by anything which is there in this universe. Sky or the space, you can say, sky or the space, Akash, becomes or can be noted as the third guru in our life. The emptiness, the inner emptiness, the space, inner space, our own self teaches us should be free from emotions within inside. That means we should not be emotionally attached with our students. We should be free from the bondage of love and affection towards our students. We should be unbiased towards our students. We should be impartial towards our students. Fire. Sometimes fire manifests its blazing flames. Sometimes as it rises, as smoldering embers, it gets converted. It gets covered by ash. But it is always present. In all objects, Agni is present as heat. It is present in all objects as latent heat, as latent heat. As a soul, you can say, which is very mysterious. The end of our own end becomes very mysterious. The source, and you can say the the true self, which is very much eternal, which is unchanging, which is unmanifested, which is omnipresent. Okay, this source and the end, that becomes very, very mysterious for us. So this Agni, what does it teach? As it becomes as we can say that it is our fourth guru in our life. What does it teach? It teaches us it has got a very strong storage place. It keeps all inside itself. Everything is within him, within itself. And it can, what you can say, it can eat anything. It can eat away anything and yet not dirty, pure. For every sacred thing, if you have noticed, we make it pure if we can burn it. We sterilize it by putting it through heat, by putting it on fire. And when it comes in contact of, yet it does not get dirty, even if it gets in contact with some dirty things also. So the teacher's glory is like a fire. We may teach students coming from different background, but we are made up of much, you can say, brighter. We are much brighter. We are made brighter by our austerities. And our knowledge and tapas actually keeps us pure. And let us maintain this purity with ourselves and with no vessels than our stomach. That knowledge, we should keep it. And this will help us in improving the life and helping the student in its journey to attain its goal. Surya. The fifth guru, we say, is the sun in our life. We see sun daily in our lives. And it is the same sun. It is in our life is the same sun, and it is one. It appears as many times when reflected by water in different vessels, you can say. Similarly, what you can say, the one self manifests itself, ourself, when we manifest ourselves as many selves of creatures, when we are reflected by different physical structures. What is the one important quality of, you can say, of the sun? It is the sun illuminates the many forms in nature to our vision. The teacher. What is the role of the teacher? If we can just relate it with sun, the teacher can illuminate the true nature of all the things to his students. That means, what does it teach us? What does it say? What is the message that we get if we consider Surya as our guru, as the fifth guru? That we can accept the material things with our senses, but at the appropriate time, we should give it back. We should radiate it back. And how do we radiate it back? As the sense of our duty towards our pupil, towards our students, towards our mentees, and without getting attached to the material sense of the objects. We should remain attached, being detached. This is one sentence I keep hearing often. The next one is the pigeon. It's said that we can gain wisdom from a pigeon also. I'll just tell you a very short story of a pigeon. Once a pair of pigeon, they lived together in a tree. They bred their young, and they were young ones, and were bringing them up with deep affection and love. One day, A hunter caught the young, you can say, the young fledglings in a snare. The ladybird actually, they saw their plight, and it was it was unable to leave them. So she kept sitting. She kept it. She lived in the snare to share their fate because it was helpless. Shortly after that, after a short while, what happened? The male pigeon also jumped in the snare. Now, seeing this, what we can learn, or hearing the story, what we can say is that how man brings about his own destruction. How, as human beings, because of our immaturity, how do we can put ourselves or lead our lives towards destruction? The story of pigeon basically warns us against developing obsessive love or attachment in this materialistic world, in this transit, you can say, material world. The teacher should refrain from attachment, because these days we hear very weird stories. So I thought of telling it. The teacher should refrain from attachment after, you can say, after attaining this body, as and we have accepted our role as a teacher, which is the open door. This role of a teacher is the open door to mukti, you can say, moksha, or liberation, or you can say this. We are in a very noble profession, and this noble profession actually helps us in a very easy manner for God realization. So excessive, you can say, attachment and love with anything except wisdom. Except wisdom, if we are excessively attached, that is the cause of bondage. And as teacher, we should not develop this excessive attachment towards any material thing, or even towards our students also. We should impart the knowledge and wisdom to them, and then we should refrain ourselves from getting ourselves attached with them through emotions. The next one is known as the picture of a Asgar python. If you have observed, if you have seen a python, we have seen that it's a very sluggard, unwilling to move, very lazy kind of a person. Moves out briskly for its prey, but it lies in its comfortably and devours whatever creature it comes across. It just gulps it, because but be it sufficient to appear for its hunger. It just thinks of it that whether it can satisfy my hunger or not. From this behavior of a python, we can learn that a man in search of wisdom should refrain from running after pleasures. We should not run after pleasure and accept whatever we get spontaneously with contentment. We should not run after pleasure. We should accept whatever we get it as and when we get it spontaneously, and we should be content also. So we can say that from Mother Nature, our Guru, Earth, nature as our Guru, we can say Python can be considered the seventh Guru in our life, who teaches of wisdom, seventh teacher of wisdom. And as teachers, we should strive to bring this minor changes in mediocre students. Very good. Let's not try to bring changes all of a sudden. In one night, we cannot bring a sea change in the life of a student, in the behavior of a student, in the attitude of our students. Rather than getting frustrated that the change is not happening within our students, we should do it very slowly with a lot of patience. Let us try to let us try to make those mediocre students to average, from average to above average, and then let us make them, move them towards, you can say, good or extraordinary students. Let us travel the journey or tread this path with a lot of patience. Samudra, ocean. If you have all seen ocean, Chennai has been very lucky because it is surrounded by Bay of Bengal and down by Indian Ocean. Contemplating the marvelous nature of the ocean, we can gain much wisdom. We can gain a lot of wisdom from, if we look at, if we can have a view of ocean. Any number of overflowing rivers may come and join ocean. They fall into oceans. Yet, what do we observe? The sea or the ocean, it, samudra, it maintains its level. Nor does it fall, its level fall, okay? Nor does it get affected. It's in the summer. Of course, there are, when all the rivers dry up, but still it maintains its level there. So the joys of life do not elate the teacher's wisdom, stage of, or the stage of wisdom, you can say. Nor does a sorrow actually depress a teacher. That means a teacher should be unaffected by joy and sorrow, whichever comes on its way. The ocean, that's why, is considered, we can consider ocean as the eighth. What are the teachings or what is the moral that we can carry or we can take it from this samudra? We should be equipoised and in a state and maintain the state of maintain the state of calmness. The life of a teacher should also remain very balanced. It's not that we don't get irritated, we don't lose our temper, but we should work towards it. We're all human beings and we tend to commit mistakes. So the life of a teacher should remain very balanced. The joys of life do not excite us, nor can any sorrow also excite us. Even if we should have that quality of ours to maintain that calmness. Teacher, if you have seen, they never transgresses, you can say, the highest standards of morality. The depth of such teachers' wisdom cannot be easily comprehended by anyone. They're just as hidden pearls. They remain as hidden pearls at the depth of the ocean. Cannot be easily. Can we discover the depth of the ocean? Similarly, a wise teacher, we can't measure the depth of the wisdom. Moth. We have observed, all of us, since our childhood, we feel very excited to observe moth, the way it comes. Now the moth, more precisely, you actually here it is moth, but we can say the grasshopper also. They're very tempted by fire, the light, you can say, to jump into it and get burnt down. The grasshopper, if you have seen, or the moth, if you have seen, they get attracted by light, and that's the reason during the evening time also sometimes you might see a moth just enter. So thinking he is enticed, he is carried away by the illusionary pleasures, by the false pleasures of the senses. and he gets caught in the cycles, vicious cycle of life and death. But a wise man, he will catch, what will he do? He'll try to catch a glimpse of the fire of the wisdom. The fire of the wisdom leaves everything inside. That is what we have tried to understand when we are trying to understand the quality of Agni, and that's the reason we accepted Agni also as our guru. It lives in it, and it burns down the inner illusion, the false notion, which is limited to ourselves. So we can say that we can accept moth or the grass from Mother Nature as our ninth guru. From this, as a teacher, we should know how to control the sense of sight because these eyes are very dangerous. We should try to avoid being greedy because the eyes are the first one which sees and which gets attracted. As a teacher, we should try to convey the same to them, that don't get into the trap of greediness. The next one is known as Hathi, the elephant. And we can consider from Mother Nature, elephant as our 10th guru. But let's try to understand what do we can learn, or why should we accept Hathi or elephant as our guru? The human beings, there's a story. They raised a stuffed what you call cow elephant in the forest, and the wild tusker, what did they do? It mistakes it for a mate, approaches it, and then slowly, then very not slowly, skillfully, you can see. Slowly is not okay. It's bound by the fetters by the cunning human beings. Then what happens? This the unregenerated, you can say, this man is tempted by the opposite sex, and it gets bound by the fetters of the infatuation. This actually happens. So the seekers, what happens after learn how to get rid from the clutches of lust. This is the message that an elephant from Mother Nature teaches us from this elephant, via this elephant. The next one is known as the bumblebee. We have all observed bee also, how minutely, with a lot of patience, it takes the tiniest drops of nectar from the flower with a lot of patience. And what you call, before it, you can say, even before accepting even that much, it hums and hovers and dances the amount of nectar. It takes a little tiniest drops of nectar. But before it does it also, it dances, it creates an atmosphere of joy, okay, and happiness, you can say, around that blossom before it actually sits to take the tiniest drop of nectar. So it not only sings the song of cheerfulness, but it also gives more to the flowers than it takes. It gives a lot. It might take a little drop, but it takes more. Why? It helps the plant in pollinating and helps them to prosper by flying from one flower to the another flower. So we can say, we can accept this bumblebee as our 11th guru. So the teacher, in a similar way, should not store things, should not store knowledge for himself, but it should impart to their students. We have to leave all we store and we have to give it and deliver it and transfer this knowledge that we have gained to our students. Fish, machli. If you have observed fish, this fish, or the machli, greedily swallows the bait, and it at once get caught by the angle hook by the fisherman. What do we try to understand from here? That we now realize that how man meets its destruction by craving for delicious food. When the palate is conquered, when you can control your tongue, your everything else is conquered. So there's a positive feature, but there is also a positive feature. Now it's greedy, and that's the reason it is being caught by the fisherman. The positive feature in the fish, it never leaves its home. And what is that home? The home is the water. A man should also never lose sight of its true self, but should ever have its own being. We should have that being in us. That's a reason we accept fish as our 12th guru. So we realize that tongue is the most difficult to be controlled. And when we can control this tongue, other senses will become easy. It can be easily controlled. As teachers, we should be very careful because our students are very expert in irritating us, in frustrating us. We should not speak out anything which is irrelevant, which shall put us in trouble. So the fish never lives water. So we should also never, as teachers, we should never lose sight of our true self. The next one is the Pingala, the courtesan, or you can say the dancing girl. This is a short story with this, one or two lines I can just say quickly. This girl, this dancing girl, whose name was Pingala, he was tired of, you can say, looking for customers one night to come and give her sensual pleasure along with a lot of money. But one day she becomes very hopeless and she feels very dejected. And ultimately, we can say out of frustration, she gives up her plans of earning money via this mean as a prostitute, I mean to say. But she feels satisfaction. Why? Because has abandoned the material desires. Now she feels very content and she gets a sound sleep. That means as teachers, we should abandon our expectation from people. And this will lead to greater contentment and infinite. We should ask for our knowledge, but we should not expect anything from our students or from others. Artisan. Once an artisan was there was an artisan who was completely absorbed, you can say, or involved in molding a sharp arrow, you can say, or doing its own work. He was so engrossed in his work that he did not even notice that there was a royal, you can say, a procession, a pageant was passing by. So what does this say? The artisan, Mother Earth has advised us that that artisan can become our 14th guru. But how does this artisan can say become our 14th guru? Focused mind. as teachers, we should have focused mind. We should not be carried away by the temptation of the trivial things of the world. Concentration is the way to achieve self-realization. Little boys and girls, they don't know anything. They neither know honor, they neither know dishonor, nor do they know dishonor. Neither honor nor dishonor. They do not. They do not have any grudge. If you have noticed any child, they do not have any prejudice against anyone. They do not know what is their own or what belongs to others, but they are able to spread happiness. And they get happiness, they are able to spring happiness from their own selves, their innate creativity, you can say. And they do not need any external objects or conditions to keep them happy. So Mother Earth has advised us that a child can be our 15th Guru. Let us try to live a life, let us try to have a heart like a child, innocent, caring, and free and full of supreme joy. Chand. Of all things in nature, the moon is considered to be very unique. If you have, we have noticed it, that it can wax and it can wane during the bright and the dark fortnight. In fact, we can say the lunar globe ever remains the same. In this, it is the self of the man. It appears to wax and wane during the what you call during this, and it ever remains the same also. So what we can say as a man or as a teacher, as a human being, that even though we are passing through different phases of life, from infancy to boyhood, that is, and from youth to maturity to old age, we should remain unchanged. As ourself should remain unchanged. As a teacher, similarly, a teacher should educate the students that they should not be affected by the continual change of the body from birth to death, including the diseases and the old change and the old age. These are all part and parcel of as we are born in human beings, as human beings, we have to get accustomed or used to all these changes, that we should remain unaffected. The honeybee. It wanders from, that was the mumblebee that we spoke about. This is the honeybee. It wanders from flower to flower without hurting them to the least, and it draws honey. It's a spiritual seeker, you can say, or a teacher, you can say. They all this, they study the holy scriptures of their respective religion, and they retain it in their heart. And whatever is essential, they practice as spiritual. Such is such should be a teacher. Become greedy, and it should remain what it is and keep it to ourselves. And whenever it is required, we should take out that much only. We should not boast ourselves. We should not be proud. The deer. Mother Nature has actually given us a lot of gurus. We fail to understand those things, those ones. Deer. Deers are very, if you have observed, deers are very fond of music. And that poachers employ to lure them. Every poacher, basically, they play this music to attract them in order to hunt. So what we can say is that we learn that passion and sensual desires will soon bog down a spiritual aspirant who has a weakness, and it will ultimately lose whatever spiritual progress that we have made. And that's the reason Mother Earth also says us that deer can be your 18th guru. Passion and sensual desires will later and sooner bring down whether it's a sage or a teacher in its spiritual progress. But a renounced person, a renounced teacher, you can say, they do not become attracted by the mundane sounds of sensuous music, especially the sweet singing and or the dancing of a girl. Next is the lapwing, the hawk. If you have seen a hawk, it can become our 19th guru, as advised by Mother Nature. One day, what has happened? It was it was carrying away a dead rat for its food as its prey, and many other birds were there: pigeon, crows, eagle. They were trying to, especially the scavengers, the eagles and the crows were trying to attack it, kick on its head, and again pecking on its side in their endeavor to get a portion of that prey. The poor bird was the very pestered. Okay, and what happened? It at last it widely let its prey fall, and all other bird, what they did do, they rushed it towards it. What's the message? What is the message that we are getting? That a man who runs after worldly pleasures will soon come into clash with its fellow beings. We should, these worldly possessions are all sense of trouble. Happiness and enlightenment belong to those who would like to live a very simple life, and we should try to conquer the worldly things with the help of spiritual goals. And one becomes very happy. Yes, please.
Arpita ma'am?
I know we are running short of time.
Yeah, because Daneshwar has already joined.
Please give me because we joined late. I'm asking. Okay. So what we are trying to say over here is that happiness and enlightenment belong to those who would like to live their life, who would like to live a very simple life. And that is what, as a teacher, we should try to convey to our students, that don't run after materialistic or worldly pleasures. You will be relieved from tension or stress, and you can become and you will be able to lead a very happy life. The maiden's bangles. There's a short story attached to it. Very quickly I'll say, now because now the sword is already swinging on my neck, the back of my neck. There were once some people, actually, they came to home to see a maiden girl. Her parents were not at home. So what did she do? She had to alone her entertain those people who came to see her. So she went to the kitchen and started beating the rice because she had to offer something. So at that time, her hand bangles started making a lot of noise. She did not like that noise. So she broke all the bangles except two in each hand. That means single in each hand. But still they made noise. So what did she do? She broke one more bangle from each hand and no sound was produced. What is the message that we are getting? So when there are a number of spiritual seekers who are living together, they tend to there's a clash of interest. There's too many cooks. So even among two persons also, there must be some disturbance. There might be some dispute. So a teacher or a sage always like to live in solitude, because it is better to live alone without creating any unwanted noise or gossip. The serpent, the snake, Sap, It lives alone and avoids the company of other creatures. In order to seek realization, one should also abide in the cave of its own heart. We also can live with ourselves. We actually don't like to live with ourselves, and that's the reason we look for company. The snake lives its old skin, and after some time it gains its newer skin that resembles, it's like death. Okay, so a true teacher, you can say, they are never frightened by death, or a sage is never frightened by death, knowing sooner or later that if there is life, there will be, we have to die one day. So in this way, you can say the serpent, we can teach, we can convey the same knowledge, transfer the same knowledge to a teacher, to a student, and the serpent becomes a 21st guru. The spider, Makri, it becomes our 22nd guru. It weaves its web very finely, very a great architect, I would say, from the thread in the form of a fluid. And after some time, it gathers up the web into itself. What does it say? That the individual soul too bears the senses and the mind within itself in its birth, at its birth. And at the end of the life, from its birth, it bears its senses. At the end of the life duration, the soul again withdraws the senses, mind, and all the acquired tendency. A teacher should not have any and beyond, and it should move beyond the cause and effect relation. Last but not the least, the penultimate one, the caterpillar and the wasp. It is also one of the gurus which teaches us wisdom from Mother Nature. If you have seen the wasp, it carries its caterpillar to a safe corner and it closes up its nest and goes up buzzing about. But the young caterpillar is so frightened by the incessant buzzing sound, thinking of anything else than the buzzing wasp. It gets very frightened. It grows up into a wasp, and in a fashion, as a true disciple, is so charmed and overawed by the spiritual eminence of his own guru that he cannot think of anyone other than him. So whatever a former man constantly thinks of, he attains in course of time that form. So that means what we say, the way you think, you become the same person. So that's the reason. So one must try to give up all the attachment of the body and try to attain liberation, or in other words, moksha. The last of the 24th guru is known as Jal, water. It quenches our thirst. It not only our thirst, every creature sustains innumerable trees and all the creatures. We have life because of water. Similarly, a teacher or a sage can likewise bestow its health, peace, joy to every creature, to every student that resorts to him. And yet, he can remain humble to every creation of God. As the water quenches the thirst of every creature, a very important element of our creature, the teacher should, as like water, should quench the quality of, should carry on the quality of purity. Just as the pure water cleanses, a sage or a teacher will also clean or make the student free from selfishness, ego, lust, anger, greed, and purify him with all the students, whosoever comes in contact with the teacher. So quickly, if you see, of all the 24 gurus that we have identified, we say that the earth represents the dharma, the wind symbolizes truth, the sun, moon, ocean emphasizes the unchanging nature of the truth, the sky, it shows the infinite nature of the self, the spider reminds the transient nature of the material world, the moth, the elephant, the deer, the fish, they warn us against the overwhelming of distractions which is caused by the desires. The pigeon, the honeybee, the bird, that is the lapwing, okay, the pingala, the dancing girl, they warn us against the worldly attachment. The child evokes the happiness of freedom from the material care. The python and the honeybee, you can say, they emphasize the benefits of the simple living. The fire and the water, they teaches us the power to purify and purify the contamination of the material world. The maiden and the snake, they teaches us to avoid any destruction caused by the unwanted things. The arrow, the artisan, teaches us to remain focused and concentrate towards our target, towards our goal. And the caterpillar teaches us concentrating on God, and one can return to God, the ultimate goal. These were the 24 gurus of Lord Dattatreya, who is considered as a very powerful guru because of his aggressive observation. He is known as an incarnation of Lord Vishnu, Shiv, and Brahma, but he had 24 gurus from Mother Earth. So he has drawn lessons from Mother Nature and applied in all his teachings. This is a small one of the paragraph from the bhajans of Anup Jalota. Jal se patla kaun hai, bhumi se bari kaun hai tez hai, jal se patla kaun bhumi se bhari, kaun agan se tez hai aur kaun kajal se kali. The next line says, जल से पतला ज्ञान है और पाप से भारी तेज कलम काजल से. Thank you very much. Once again, I'm very sorry to Professor Danish for bearing me for 21 minutes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.